I 34 male never expected to be sharing this story on Reddit, but here goes. 3 years ago, my partner vanished with our savings, leaving just a text. I need some space to think. Don't try to find me. I respected their wishes, until I discovered they were living under a fake identity in Portland with our money. It was a normal Tuesday morning when I noticed my partner wasn't in bed. Not unusual since they often went for early runs. But when I checked my phone, I found that message that would haunt me for months. I called immediately. No answer. Texted back. Nothing. Called their workplace. They hadn't shown up. Called their friends. No one knew anything. Their car was gone with a suitcase and some clothes, but their toothbrush was still in our bathroom, and their favorite coffee mug sat unwashed in our sink. The first days were pure panic. I filed a missing person report, but the police dismissed it after seeing the text. Adults are allowed to leave, one officer said with a shrug. My partner's parents were just as confused. We talked last week. Their mother told me, sounding worried. Everything seemed normal. They even mentioned your anniversary trip plans. I searched for warning signs in our recent conversations. We'd had normal disagreements like any couple, but nothing major. We've been planning a trip to Japan for our anniversary. Just days before disappearing, my partner had shown me pictures of a ryokan they wanted to book. Weeks passed with no contact. I left increasingly desperate voicemails. I checked hospitals. I drove to every place we'd ever visited together. Nothing. My friend Tom became my support during this time. You can't put your life on hold forever, he told me after 2 months. They asked for space. You need to respect that. I knew he was right. I forced myself back to some kind of normal. Went back to work. Started therapy. Tried to accept that maybe our relationship wasn't what I thought it was. Then came the first clue. 6 months after they disappeared, I was organizing our financial documents for taxes when I noticed something strange. The savings account we'd been building together for years, almost $85,000 for a house down payment, had been completely emptied. Not gradually, but in one massive withdrawal the day before my partner vanished. My stomach dropped. This wasn't someone needing space. This was something else entirely. I called the bank immediately. They confirmed the withdrawal had been made in person, with proper ID and all security questions answered correctly. The detective assigned to the case finally took interest. This changes things, she said, reviewing the bank records. This suggests premeditation. But the investigation moved painfully slowly. The detective explained that technically no crime had been committed. My partner's name was on the account, and they had every legal right to withdraw the money. The fact that we weren't married complicated things further. We'll keep looking, the detective promised, but I need to be honest. Without evidence of foul play, this might not go anywhere. I couldn't accept that. I hired a private investigator, a retired police detective named Michael who specialized in missing persons cases. He wasn't cheap, but I needed answers. People leave digital footprints everywhere, Michael explained during our first meeting. Credit cards, social media, email. If they're out there living a new life, we'll find traces. For 2 months, Michael found nothing. Then, almost by accident, he discovered something. My partner had created a LinkedIn profile under a new name, similar to their middle name, with a different last name altogether. The profile was sparse, but it listed a position at a small literary agency in Portland. This is it, Michael said, showing me the profile. The photo is blurry, but that's them. They've created a new identity. I stared at the picture in disbelief. It was indeed my partner, though with completely different hair and glasses I'd never seen before. According to this profile, they've been working at this agency for 5 years, an obvious lie, but one that established a completely fabricated history. Michael advised caution. Don't contact them directly. Let me do some more digging first. If they cleaned out your savings, there might be more to this story. Over the next few weeks, Michael pieced together more of the puzzle. My partner was living under this new name in Portland. They had purchased a house, a fact that made my blood boil, knowing it was almost certainly bought with our savings. They appeared to be living alone and had established a whole new social circle who knew nothing of their past life. Here's what I don't understand, Michael said. This isn't just someone running away from a relationship. This is a complete identity change. That's extreme, and it usually happens for a reason debt, criminal charges, something big. But my partner had no debts I knew of, no criminal history, no reason to run and hide so completely. Unless, Michael suggested carefully, there was something in their past you didn't know about. That possibility haunted me. Had I spent 8 years with someone harboring secrets so significant they needed to erase their entire existence? Or was I the only thing they were running from? I couldn't stop thinking about the meticulous planning this must have taken. The new identity had been crafted carefully, probably over months. The money had been moved strategically. There was nothing impulsive about this disappearance. When Michael finally gave me the address, I sat in my car for hours staring at it on my phone. A modest craftsman house in a quiet Portland neighborhood. I knew I should listen to Michael's advice to let the authorities handle it, but after nearly a year of questions, I needed answers directly. I drove to Portland the next day. Sitting outside the house, I felt like I was in a dream. Through the windows, I could see movement. Someone was home. After everything that had happened, my partner was just living life in a different city under a different name, as if our 8 years together had never existed. I approached the door with my heart pounding. When I knocked, there was a long pause before the door opened. And there they were. Hair different, style changed, but unmistakably the person I'd share my life with. The shock on their face was absolute. "What are you doing here?" they whispered, looking frantically up and down the street. "How did you find me?" "You took our entire savings," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "Did you think I wouldn't notice?" They tried to close the door, but I blocked it with my foot. "You owe me an explanation," I said. 8 years together, and you leave with a text message and steal our money?" "I didn't steal anything," they hissed. "My name was on that account, too." "Let me in," I said. "Unless you want me to start introducing myself to your neighbors as your former partner." They hesitated, then stepped back. The inside of the house was like a twisted mirror of our old life. I recognized some of our furniture mixed with new pieces. On the walls were prints we'd bought together, now in different frames. It was like they'd cherry-picked parts of our shared life to bring into this fabricated existence. "Why?" I asked simply. They sank onto the couch. "You wouldn't understand. Try me." I felt trapped, they said finally. Our life together was predictable, suffocating. I wanted something else, something new. I stared in disbelief. "So you stole our savings and created a fake identity because you were bored?" "It wasn't just boredom," they snapped. "It was about reinvention. I needed to become someone else, someone new. I couldn't do that with you watching, with everyone expecting me to be the same person I'd always been. You could have broken up with me like a normal person." I shouted. "You could have moved away, changed your name, done whatever you wanted without the theft and deception. I knew you'd try to talk me out of it," they said, looking away. "Or worse, you'd want to come with me." That hurt more than anything else. The idea that my presence in their new life was worse than the pain and confusion they'd caused by disappearing. "The money," I said. "I want it back." They laughed coldly. "It's gone. This house, new furniture, establishing my new life, it costs money to start over. You spent $85,000 on furniture and a down payment. And other things," they said vaguely. "Consultations with people who help create new identities. It's not cheap to disappear." I felt sick. "You paid someone to help you abandon our life." I needed expertise, they said defensively. "Look, I'm sorry it happened this way, but I'm not coming back. This is my life now. I'm happy here." Looking around at this house bought with our money, at this person wearing the face of someone I loved, but acting like a complete stranger, something in me hardened. "You know this is illegal, right?" I said quietly. "Identity fraud, theft." "It's not theft when my name was on the account," they interrupted. "And I didn't commit identity fraud. I just changed my name and moved. People do it all the time. People don't usually pay consultants to help them disappear from their partners." They shrugged. "The police won't care. You probably already tried that route." They were right, and they knew it. The police had been clear that without evidence of a crime, there was little they could do. The bank wouldn't help either. Legally, my partner had every right to withdraw the money. "So that's it?" I asked. "You destroy my life, steal our savings, and just get away with it?" "I didn't destroy your life," they said coldly. "Don't be dramatic. You're still young. You'll move on." In that moment, looking at the stranger wearing my partner's face, I made a decision. If the legal system couldn't give me justice, I would find another way. "You're right," I said, forcing my voice to remain calm. "What's done is done." They looked surprised at my sudden acceptance. "So you'll leave me alone now? After today, you'll never see me again," I promised. Relief washed over their face. "Thank you. For what it's worth, I did care about you. This wasn't about you. It was about me needing a completely fresh start." I nodded as if I understood. "Just one thing before I go. Where's the bathroom?" They pointed down the hall, clearly eager for this confrontation to end. In the bathroom, I quickly took photos of everything I could: prescription bottles with their new name, mail visible on the counter, anything that confirmed this new identity. Then I slipped out my phone and sent a text to Michael with the address and a brief explanation of what I'd found. When I returned to the living room, my partner was standing by the door, clearly ready for me to leave. "I hope you find what you're looking for," I said. They nodded awkwardly. "I already have. This is where I belong." As I walked to my car, I didn't look back. They believed they'd gotten away with it, disappearing with our money, starting a new life while leaving me shattered and confused. They thought it was over. It wasn't. The next day, I met with a lawyer, an aggressive litigator recommended by Michael who specialized in unusual financial cases. I laid out everything: the relationship, the joint savings, the disappearance, the new identity. "Can we sue for the money?" I asked. The lawyer leaned back in her chair. "It's complicated. Your name was on the account jointly, which gives you both equal rights to withdraw. But there's a concept called unjust enrichment we could pursue. Plus, if they're using a false identity for financial gain, that opens other avenues." "What do you need from me?" "Everything," she said. "Bank statements, proof of your contributions to the savings, evidence of the new identity, any communications. The more documentation, the better." Over the next month, I gathered everything I could. Bank statements showing my regular deposits into our savings. Texts and emails discussing our plans for that money. Photos of my partner's new life and identity. The private investigator's detailed reports. The lawyer was cautiously optimistic. "We won't get criminal charges, but we have a solid civil case. They can't just take your money and disappear. There are consequences." We filed the lawsuit, requesting the full amount of my contributions to the savings account, plus damages for emotional distress. My partner was served papers at their workplace, a moment I wish I could have witnessed. Their response was immediate. A panic call to my lawyer, then to me. "What are you doing?" they demanded when I answered. "I told you it's over. You stole from me," I replied calmly. "Actions have consequences. I'll fight this," they threatened. "You'll waste all your money on legal fees and get nothing." "Maybe," I acknowledged, "but everyone will know what you did. Your new friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, they'll all learn who you really are and what you're capable of." There was a long silence. "What do you want?" they finally asked, voice tight. "Every cent you took from me, plus interest." "I don't have it anymore," they insisted. "The house, the new life." "Then sell the house," I interrupted. "Take out a loan. I don't care how you get it, but I want my money back. And if I do this, you'll drop the lawsuit? You'll leave me alone permanently? Once I have my money, you'll never hear from me again." After 2 weeks of negotiations through our lawyers, we reached a settlement. They would pay back my portion of the savings account plus interest, structured in monthly payments secured against their house. They would also cover my legal fees and the cost of the private investigator. In return, I signed an NDA agreeing never to publicly disclose their new identity or location. It wasn't the emotional closure I had imagined, but it was justice of sort. The first payment arrived exactly on schedule. With it was a brief note: "I never meant to hurt you." I tore it up without responding. Rebuilding my life wasn't easy. Beyond the financial impact, the betrayal left deep emotional scars. Trust didn't come naturally anymore. Dating seemed impossible. How could I believe anyone after what had happened? My therapist helped me work through the anger and confusion. "What they did reflects on them, not you," she reminded me constantly. "Their capacity for deception doesn't mean everyone will deceive you." Slowly, I started putting the pieces back together. I moved to a new city for a fresh start. I focused on my editing career, eventually landing a position at a respected publishing house. I made new friends who knew nothing of my past trauma. The monthly payments continued to arrive, each one a reminder of what had happened, but also of my refusal to be a victim. I used the money to build a new emergency fund, then started saving for my own home, a goal I had once shared with someone else, but now pursued independently. 2 years after the settlement, I received a final lump sum payment. They had sold the Portland house and paid off the remaining balance. With it came another note. I'm sorry for everything. I hope you're finding peace. This time, I didn't tear it up. I didn't respond either, but I kept it as a reminder that closure comes in unexpected ways. Sometimes I wonder where they are now, if they've created yet another new identity, or if they finally found whatever they were looking for. But those thoughts come less frequently as time passes. What remains is the knowledge that when my world collapsed, I found the strength to rebuild it. When justice seemed impossible, I created my own path to resolution. When someone tried to erase our history, I refused to let them erase me too. I'm not completely healed. Trust comes harder now. I question people's motives more than I should. But I'm living my life on my terms, not defined by someone else's betrayal. For anyone going through something similar, someone who disappeared, who took your security or peace of mind, know that you can fight back. Not with the same deception they used, but with determination and the truth. The system may not make it easy, but justice is possible if you're willing to pursue it. I've stopped looking back. My partner wanted a new life, a new identity. In fighting for what was rightfully mine, I found my own version of rebirth, not by running away or becoming someone else, but by becoming a stronger version of myself.